You see, these are the videos that I love doing. You know what I'm saying? Fun videos of wrestling action figures. And if you see on my profile picture, I'm a huge fan of Brian Pillman. I've actually had this Brian Pillman toy, well, action figure. I've actually had this action figure for the past, 6 months maybe. And I wanted to make a video about my Brian Pillman, action figure for the past couple of months. I've been like a huge, busy ass guy, but the main issue I have with this action figure package, why are we comparing Brian Pillman and fucking Dean Ambrose? I'm like, these comparisons always bothered me. Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, whatever you want to call him. He ain't Brian Pillman. He never was Brian Pillman. Even in his last company with the fucking Shield, I didn't see any fucking Brian Pillman in him at all. Actually, these guys are like the total opposites of each other. There's like no comparisons. Only thing they got in common is they are both from Ohio. Other than that, there's like no comparison. Zero. They're just way totally different. Brian Pillman was a crazy ass guy, nutcase, loose cannon. Very, very headstrong. He had tons of attitude, tons of charisma. He was a free thinker. His promos were just apples and oranges compared to Dean Ambrose. Brian Pillman was never considered goofy. He was always considered just a madman, a crazy madman. So I'm like, man, there's like no comparisons, because John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever you want to call him, he's a hardcore wrestler. He's a fanboy deathmatch wrestler who loves the hardcore bullshit. Brian Pillman, he was a worker. He was a workhorse, worker in the ring. He was technically sound. There it is. He was technically sound as a performer in that ring. He was a high flyer. He wasn't going through tables. He wasn't going through thumbtacks. He wasn't flying off ladders. He was an in-ring professional performer in that wrestling ring. He wasn't doing hardcore matches, so what's these comparisons? I have no idea why these guys are in the same box. It's like, yeah, they're both white boys from Ohio who act crazy. That don't mean they should be compared to each other. I see no comparison. I'm like, man, I'm like, somebody need to clue me in on these Brian Pillman and Dean Ambrose comparisons from back in the day, because I don't see them. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Brian Pillman was like, he had more personality. He was more energetic. I mean, his promos were just very well thought out. He was very opinionated. He was his nickname, a loose cannon. Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, I don't see it. He's just a guy who walks around who looks like he has a bad attitude on his face. Other than that, I don't see no comparisons. You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge Brian Pillman fan. He might go down as the best, most convincing, crazy character of all time. Dean Ambrose, I never saw it. I never said, oh, Dean Ambrose, he is so crazy. He is nuts. Hell no, I never saw it. I'm like, if you saw The Dark Side of the Ring with Brian Pillman, did Dean Ambrose ever pop into your mind? Or John Moxley, did he ever pop into your head? Like, that's who he should be compared to? Like, no. So I have no idea why these guys are in the same box with each other in a toy series. Like, these guys are the past and the present. Kind of implying that Dean Ambrose was the new Brian Pillman. Get the fuck out of here with that. And when I bought this set, when I bought this box, I actually bought it from eBay because finding this set, finding a Brian Pillman action figure, it's not easy. I mean, his action figures cost a lot of money. So I actually found this on eBay at a low price. That's why the box is all beat up, and that's why I haven't opened it still. And I don't plan on, tearing the package. I'm just gonna leave it in the box. But let's get back to Brian Pillman and these Dean Ambrose comparisons. I don't see it. Like, this apples and oranges with these comparisons. It's like Brian Pillman was a very unpredictable guy. That's what made him the loose cannon. He was a great actor, great performer. He had great facials. He felt like he was real. With Dean Ambrose, I felt like he was playing a character. I felt like he was not himself. His character didn't seem as genuine as some people may have thought. That's why I wasn't really fond of him. With Brian Pillman, that loose cannon character, that was genuine. He lived that gimmick. It's like a lot of people thought that was him in real life. So comparing Dean Ambrose and Brian Pillman is just lazy. It's like, man, I mean, how about comparing Dean Ambrose to, I don't know, fucking Terry Funk or Chainsaw Charlie or some shit. But other than that, no, I don't see no comparisons with fucking Brian Pillman and Dean Ambrose. But let's get back to the toys in the package. Man, I was searching for a whole year for this damn toy of Brian Pillman. He is not easy to find. and the action figures of Brian Pillman that are available, man, those shits are fucking expensive. So I got lucky with the price that I got. But at the end of the day, Brian Pillman should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's a shame that he's not yet, but he should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. That guy was a huge legend, man. He was really ahead of his time. I mean, he helped kickstart the fucking Attitude Era. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit that he deserves, man. That's why I get offended when anybody is compared to fucking Brian Pillman, even his own son. I just get offended. Cause Brian Pillman was that guy. He was that dude, man. One of the greatest characters ever. His character was the fucking Attitude Era. In my opinion, him and Stone Cold Steve Austin helped kickstart the Attitude Era. And I feel like people should give him more credit for that. But yeah, man, I love me some Brian Pillman, man. I love me some Brian Pillman. So much. He had so much left to give before he died. He had so much left to give. I felt like he could have been a great color commentator after his career was over. That's how good he was. That's how special he was. I mean, his future was so bright before he died. There was so much we could have done. The Rock versus Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman versus The Undertaker. Brian Pillman versus Triple H. Shawn Michaels. My God, man. There's so much left he had to give, man. He had so much time, man. He just had a lot more time left. He had a lot more time left. He had so much shit to do. I would have loved to see The Rock and Brian Pillman. Or Stone Cold at the height of his career versus Brian Pillman probably in 2000. That would have been great as fuck. Brian Pillman versus Owen Hart. Brian Pillman versus Jeff Jarrett. There were so many programs that he could have been in the Attitude Era. It's sad that his only feud was against Stone Cold Steve Austin. But that was when Stone Cold wasn't Stone Cold yet. He was still Steve Austin. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, man, for years I've been searching for Brian Pillman merchandise, Brian Pillman action figures. And I finally found it. So yeah, man, I just want to finally make a video about my Brian Pillman action figure. Alright, I'm out.
And there's the reversal from Brian Pillman.
Oh, nice counter. Quick thinking to avoid that. Textbook snapmare.
These guys are giving it their all here tonight, not just to entertain the fans, but to ultimately walk away with the win. We're looking at complete domination here. The body's taking some abuse here, but nothing that can't be shaken off. Now that's how you make a statement.
And there's the release. What's going to happen now?
Going for the cover. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get any bigger than this. A match under the bright lights of WrestleMania.
Camel clutch locked in, wrenching on the neck and lower back. Oh, wow.
No respect for the officiating, and he's seen enough.
I don't blame the official here. You got to stop this.
Bruh, you are not Brian Pillman, and you never will be.